Welcome to today's Active Self-Protection Extra lesson. I'm here with Stephanie Widener, the CEO of ASP, Andrew Henry from Henry Holsters.
I don't know what day it is.
Yeah, we're at the end of SHOT Show, guys, and we are burned out, but we figured we would end SHOT Show by burning the internet down. And so I'm going to do that by asking my wonderful CEO, why in the world are there so many holsters for women? And I think her answer is going to make some people frustrated. Today's video is brought to you by the generosity of Newbold targets. Newbold targets are self-sealing reactive polymer targets that act like steel targets for training and practice, but are safer than steel. They allow bullets to pass completely through the target without ricochet or lead splatter. Check out their links in the description and thank them for bringing us today's video. All right, Steph, you're up. Burn the internet down. So I mean, we've been talking about, we've had a couple videos here about, appendix carry holsters and what makes for a quality Kydex holster. What are the things to look for? But as I walk the SHOT Show floor, there is more garbage holsters marketed to women.
Right.
I mean, by like an order of magnitude than men.
It's ridiculous. I mean, it really is. They're everywhere, and they cost so much more. I've yet to see one that's objectively good at all, and I think some of it is just that, in general, women don't know any better than men what a good holster is, what it takes to have a good holster, and what the differences are.
Yep.
And then there's this whole marketing angle where because you're women and men's bodies and women's bodies are different, so we must need to have different holsters. And the thing is,
but you have breasts. That means you can't use a holster.
I have breasts and I have ovaries, a vagina, but I don't use any of those to carry my gun. They're like not part of it at all. What I do use is my waist, and while women's waists and men's waists are slightly different, most men's waists are slightly different as well. Your waist is quite a bit different than John's. Mine's different than. Sorry, it's the end of SHOT Show. So yeah, there's going to be some experimentation there. But it's not so radically different that you need some sort of elasticy wrap around pink, frilly, blinged out piece. Now, if you want something that's colorful and pretty and whatever, that's fine. The problem is they're so expensive and they're usually just not comfortable. They're not safe. They're not anything you really need to carry your gun effectively. And I've just found that if you do the same thing generally that men do and get a decent belt, get a decent holster, experiment a little bit with where you're carrying it at, the height that you're carrying at, the same thing that men have to do, that it's really not difficult.
What do you find? Do you find that women can use your holsters just as well as men?
They can. The majority of my clients are men, and that's because probably the majority of firearms owners are men. It skews male. Mm-hmm. My friend Annette Evans made a really good point about women and concealed carry, which was that most women have much more experience dressing to conceal or enhance certain appearances than men do. Like, I just pants and a shirt. I'm done. That's it.
I've never asked, do these pants make my butt look fat?
No.
I've never asked that question. And the answer is yes.
And so for me, I recognize that my clothing options are very simple and that most women are used to dealing with a much more complicated range of clothing options. The principles of what makes a good holster don't really depend at all on who's using it, and most holsters that I see that are marketed toward women fail the basic security test fundamentally. They don't attach securely to the body, they don't keep the firearm in the same position, and often, frighteningly, they don't protect the trigger guard with any rigid material. And so the trade-offs there really aren't worth it. But there are certain kinds of clothing that just are more common among women and don't permit the use of a belt. So there are some real challenges there, but they are contextual. Mm-hmm. And it's not the case that every woman needs a completely unique solution that's different from anything a man would ever use in order to carry safely and securely. In a lot of cases, there's enough overlap that a good solution will cross over to many female concealed carriers, but not all.
So,
Pink helps. Pink makes a huge difference.
Right.
Pink it and shrink it. That is to make it for women.
That's the superpower.
So you teach almost as many human beings how to shoot a gun as anybody I know. We taught 310 students last year, and she is one of the best firearms instructors I've ever met. Going to be teaching a whole bunch, several national conferences this year. And so I know women come to you all the time and say, how do I find a good holster?
You know, the thing is, I just tell them the exact same thing that I tell the men. You have to kind of decide, you have to prioritize too about if it's important to me to carry a gun. So I make sure that I wear clothes where I can carry a gun. It just seems to me I generally always wear pants. I know a lot of women want to wear dresses and skirts, so I don't have as much experience with that. But because it's important to me, I just wear pants, I have loops, and I wear it always the same way all the time. And I think part of the problem is too, we try to make it so much easier and just say, no, it's so much better if you just carry a gun. So even if you're carrying it in a subpar way, this way that's not super safe, at least you have your gun. And the problem is sometimes it's not, because if you're not carrying it in a safe way and you have this horrible, tragic accident, maybe it would have been better if you didn't have your gun that day. I hear that so much with like purse carry, that, well, at least she has the gun. She might not ever be able to get it in any type of defensive encounter. Yeah. So I'm not sure why it's better that she has it, but at least she had her gun, and okay. Except that, there's at least a couple of stories I can think of right now where a woman has been shot by the gun that was in her purse, and one particular one, it was in the cart. I would have assumed that gun was kind of within her control, but she was killed, and I would suggest that it was not better that she had the gun that day for her, for her family, for everybody that had to clean her up out of the store that day. It was not better. Okay. So I think it's super important that you have to carry in a responsible, safe way. I mean, frankly, I started carrying in a purse, and at some point I realized that it was much more of a liability than any benefit for me. Because partially I did it very safely, which meant I couldn't get to the gun. Yep. I had the chamber empty. I had it locked in my purse. It provided zero benefit for me defensively.
Yeah. There were so many layers of access to get through.
Exactly. I was so worried about any of my children getting to it or anything that it was really locked up in my purse. Now, I actually do have a concealed carry purse where I can lock my gun into it, but that is for when I need to lock it away. If I'm at the doctor's office or something and need to do an x-ray or something like that, I will then I'll take my entire holster gun off, put it in my purse, lock it in this compartment, put the keys in my pocket. If, God forbid, I leave my purse or something because, I'm scatterbrained, it's locked up. No one can see there's a gun in it. It's really secure. It's in the holster inside the purse. So that is something I would use a concealed carry purse for, but to carry it, it would be exhausting. Yeah. You can't set it down. You can't get it off your shoulder. You can't set it on the ground.
So what position do you carry your gun in, Mrs. CEO?
Appendix in front of in the waistband.
You carry AIWB?
Yes.
Wait a minute. Maybe that's the fastest and most reliable and easiest way?
It is for me. I mean, I can get it pretty quick. And
now we had multiple holsters here, but I believe today this one is yours.
Yes, this is one I was wearing. I grabbed it and was messing around with it. I haven't fitted it to myself very well yet. So the grip showed more than I wanted, but just because I literally took it off and put it on. Super comfortable, super happy with it. So I just need to get it where I want it on my waist. I want to get a wedge on there.
And you're carrying a full-size gun?
Well, an SK.
Oh, you're carrying an SK?
Yeah, P30 SK.
A P30 SK. But that's a fairly standard capacity firearm. You're carrying with the 10 or the 13?
The 10 right now.
Carrying 10
yep,
right
yep. And it's got the RMR on it. So, I mean,
Dot life. Tactical grandma dot life.
So I still need to go through the process that you guys were talking about earlier with,
fine-tuning the adjustment.
Just fine-tuning it. But grabbing it and putting it on, it was practically gone, super comfortable all day. I can put this on in the morning and take it off at night and go throughout my tactical grandma day. And
I also want to ask you, Andrew, about this as a manufacturer,
yes.
right? I mean, obviously you have things, and I'm sure you have people who come and say, hey, I've got a particular issue.
Yep.
Can you work around that, or can we do this thing? How hard is that for you as a small manufacturer?
So one of the things we have that's an advantage is a small company is able to be more agile. We're able to make changes on the fly. If you make an injection molded product and you're producing 5,000 units a week out of an extremely expensive mold, and then Glock drops a new Gen 5 gun, and some of the dimensions are a little bit different, so the holster for a Gen 4 doesn't fit a Gen 5, you have massive retooling costs in a new time frame. For us, we can redo our tooling and make adjustments on the fly very quickly. So if a customer is looking for a more bespoke solution or they have an issue, we're small enough that if a customer emails or a customer calls, I answer the phone. I respond to the email, and I own the company. I make the tooling, and I QC the parts, which means if there's anything helpful that I can think of to tell you, or suggestions I have, or you have a problem that's similar to a problem that a previous customer had and we found a solution that worked for them, I'm going to do everything I can to help you, because it benefits me to have my customers carrying as safely and comfortably and securely as possible. I mean, some of the worst things I could imagine hearing are, a customer bought my holster and then was injured or killed because they weren't carrying, because they couldn't make my holster work well enough for them, and so they left their gun home the day they needed it. That would be horrible. Worse than that would be the customer had my holster on and the holster failed them in some way and they were unable to access and deploy the firearm and they were injured or killed. As a holster manufacturer, that's like the last thing on earth I ever want to hear. So if you have an issue or you're not comfortable or it's not working for you, I want to know about it. And I often refer customers to other manufacturers if there's a specific thing they need and I can't easily modify my products to produce that effect for them. I'll say, you should talk to Tom Kelly or you should talk to this other company because their holster fits all the basic criteria that are required to have a good holster, but it has some unique features that ours don't include that may help you solve that problem. And I'm not partisan about that at all. I want you to carry a good holster comfortably, securely, and all the time. So whatever I can do to get you to the right fit for that, I'm happy to do it.
So men and women both. The answer is buy a good holster. That answer is, do the custom kind of fitting work to you, to your situation, to your clothing choices, and all those things. And somebody who is a bespoke holster maker, somebody who's a small, company who can maybe respond better, might be able to help you with an individual thing. So, Andrew, Steph, appreciate you guys coming and giving us some knowledge.